They look at this new idea about Ascension Island, which has been in the papers over the weekend, if Rwanda fails, sending people to Ascension Island, a British overseas territory 4,000 miles away in the middle of the South Atlantic. The idea that is put forward is to say this is a classic wedge issue that works for the Conservatives, because people say, well, even if it doesn't work, they sort of stroke their chin and say, but it's great politics. It's great politics. It's not really about it working or not. And I kind of get that. I get the idea that Labour is perceived in some way as being softer on this stuff, and that it's something for Sunak to rally around. But as you say, what I don't think works, and I don't understand as part of the logic of that, is that that's kind of fine if you're a new government and you've just come in, or if you're in opposition. But when you've been in for 13 years, all you're basically doing is pointing to something and saying, hey, you see that? You see that over there? We haven't done anything about it, but we've got this good idea about something in a way that we can do something about it. And that's just crazy. You're basically pointing to and adverting to your own failure. And at this point now, the margin or the benefit of the doubt, even among the government's own supporters, for them to do anything about it is very slender. There was an amazing poll at the weekend showing the Conservatives miles and miles and miles behind on the question of immigration against Labour. Now, that is not a position that you want to be in. And if I were Sunak, I might consider much more strongly just the idea of talking about it less. Because if you talk about it less, the papers will talk about it less. So having Small Boats Week is the equivalent of having Failure Week put up in big letters on your own government calendar. The truth is, what we're dealing with here is a problem which states across Europe are dealing with, which is how to deal with migratory flows, which, to be honest, haven't really stopped since 2015, since the migration crisis of 2015. They've ebbed and flowed, but they've still been there. We're dealing with a world, and this is the conversation I wish we could have, and I wish that politicians in Britain could have, because the way Sunak comes at it and the way that the whole of the argument is framed is the idea in some way that we've got this problem because Britain's a soft touch. We can just stop the attraction. They keep talking about the pull factor. They always talk about, we've just got to stop the pull factors. No. The problem, as much as anything, is the push factor. Whether you think there will always be people who abuse the system and aren't legitimate refugees, there will always be people who are economic migrants. But the fact is, we're dealing with a world which is more and more unstable. And every European country is dealing with this issue at their problem at their border. And you think it's bad now? Look what's going on in the Sahel. As we were talking about last week, every country in the Sahel region now is in the grip of either political instability to full-blown coup. And what effect does that have? You have more and more people push north into North Africa. And where do they go? They don't want to stay in North Africa with their unemployment rates of 20 or 30%, say in a country like Algeria. They're going to push north and north and north and end up in Europe. And you think we've got a bad problem here? Look at Italy, look at Greece, look at Spain, look at parts of the Middle East, look at Turkey. So I just wish we could have a conversation where a Prime Minister just turns around and says, look, the truth is no politician of any party has too much wisdom on this. None of this is easy. We're going to do our best, but we are an island, but we're not an island. We can't divorce ourselves from the politics of the world around us. And this is going to be part of our politics. We have to have a grown-up, sensible conversation about what to do about it. And that ain't Ascension Island, or the Bibby Stockholm for that matter.
The Newsagents. This is a Global Player original podcast.